and I took a starting photo, and it was when I put my photo and I looked, I was like, I've got a folder full of starting photos over like the past, you know, kind of 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, where I'd yo-yoed with my weight up and down, and, you know, always going back to kind of, and then
all those Mondays. I was going to start on Monday or Sunday or whatever it is. It's
exactly.
Yeah.
And I would start, and that's the thing. That was what was like really hard, and I think a lot of people have experienced this. Is, you know, that's what's often heartbreaking, is that you really do commit to things, but because you don't, you know, because the body coach plan had me eating probably 1,000 calories a day more than it should have, you know, so no matter how hard I was going to try with it, it was always going to fail, or, you know, because you don't understand what actually needs to happen. And so, you know, and insanity, I'd done insanity religiously for 30 days, as they say on the DVD, but nothing changed. So, you know, kind of, so I think, yeah, there's an element of like, oh, I'm going to start on Monday, but also there've been so many times when I had started and I had really tried. I got to the point, I actually went to the doctors. I thought there was something wrong with me because I couldn't lose weight and I was doing all these things. And the doctor didn't even identify. And this just shows like the lack of understanding around energy balance and calories, and why I have such a beef with not just the industry, but also with public health and the NHS, and, you know, the more general incorrect information around, you know, kind of weight loss and calories and all that side of it, because it's just hidden behind smokes and mirrors. And no wonder people get themselves in complete messes, because it's so hard to find out, you know,
and people
what
might,
matters.
you know, think that the James stuff of it's not a fucking thyroid problem is funny, you know, but that message is not just to the Sheilas or, you know, or whoever. That's a message to the health industry. You know, how many times I went to the doctor and they went, "You need to lose a bit of weight." Nobody went, "And here's how." Yeah, and here's how to do it sustainably, and question why not. You know, I think that's why what us and JSAM have seen great results over, you know, for you over.
Yeah, because we understand what we're doing. Like, we know, like, I know to myself when, like, say this week I've been eating like an idiot, but I know what I'm doing. I know that the impact. So if I weighed myself or measured myself on Monday next week, I would expect not to see anything positive, you know, a change.
Yeah.
In a, you know, in a downward way, because I know that I mean, I've actively chosen to overeat because I've been extra hungry this week. Like, I don't care. I know that next week.
But it's also because you now know.
The difference is I understand it. Yeah.
Yes.
I understand it. I understand it.
And the stuff of like before, like how many starter pictures, and actually you put 30 days in, you did take those next pictures or stand on that scale expecting a change and hadn't seen it. You know, and you'd be like, why have I put on, you know, X pounds? You're all, you know, why did I, you know, for me, somebody who'd like, you know, I tried Slimming World and stuff like that and went and sat with the old grannies who'd come every week. It kind of felt like it was a con. But because my first 2 weeks I dropped like 18 pounds, it's like, why did that happen? Nobody was able to tell me why it happened. And I think you're right with, you know, I mean, you tried all those things. Did you try anything that did work?
Well, yeah, I mean, like stuff like body coach, that didn't work for me at all. And actually, the reason why I'm so anti body coach now is not because I'm a sheep who follows James and can't think for myself. I've got a PhD. I definitely can think for myself. But because of what the body coach did, was so I knew from previous experience that, for example, 5-2 works for me. I now understand why it worked for me, because it creates a calorie deficit. I also knew the military fitness style exercise worked for me because I really enjoyed it, and I would turn up to it even when it was raining and dark and cold. But what body coach did was says, right, you have to stop everything you do. You know, that you have to eat this specific plan of food. You have to do this specific HIIT, you know, every day. Everything you've ever learned is wrong. you need to do exactly what this PDF package tells you to do. And that was the most damaging, that message combined with eat more, eat more, eat more, you know, everyone should be eating more.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you curly head twat. Some of us should not be eating more. We're eating sufficiently and we're overeating, and your plan is probably, if I worked out, I'd probably been on, you know, 1,000 calories a day more than I should be to be in a calorie deficit. And so those two messages of forget everything you've learned, you have to do HIIT, you have to eat like this, you have to eat after 30 minutes after working out, you have to do this, you have to do this. Basically, the message is what went in my head was, oh, you need to eat more as long as you're doing HIIT.
Yeah.
And of course, I just ballooned and ballooned and ballooned, and I was at my wit's end. So I'm quite anti the body coach, because it's almost as damaging as some of the kind of, I just think it's very, very dangerous to be kind of selling these very generic, uneducative kind of messages. So when I decided to do, you know, kind of in that October, when I decided I was going to lose weight, I was like, I sat and thought, and I was like, what has worked for me in the past? And I was like, when I've done 5-2, that's worked for me. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to do 5-2. I'm not paying for it. I joined a couple of Facebook groups to kind of stay motivated and that. And I was like, what else has worked? And I was like, military fitness. So I found a BMF group in Bristol, and I joined that. And I was like, what else has worked? I was like, well, when I was in Cardiff, I was really active. I used to walk everywhere. I cycled everywhere. I was like, right, I'm going to buy a bike. I'm going to start cycling the 2.5 miles to work instead of getting the train. And then I'd also found a yoga studio. I was like, right, I used to love Ashtanga when I lived in Cardiff. I'm not going to wait until I've lost weight and start yoga again. I'm going to go fat to the yoga studio, and I'm going to stop saying I'm going to do stuff when I get to X point, and I'm just going to do it all. So I literally, and I had all this spare time. It was great. You know, had nothing to kind of extra to do. So I basically just started going to boot camp twice a week, going to yoga a couple of times a week, and doing 5-2. And within 5 weeks, I'd lost almost a stone. And I hadn't spent any money on anything. I wasn't hating on myself because I'd made this commitment. Every day I would write in my journal about how I felt, how it had went. And if I was having a day when I was struggling, I would just look back at the day before and think, right, what, or look back to my why, about why I'm doing this. And I would just write down that I had a really bad day, or I'd like pigged out on cake, whatever. But then I would commit to my fast days. I used back-to-back fast on Monday and Tuesday. That works for me. It doesn't work for everyone. I found it quite easy and didn't really affect my energy levels. But after a while, I started to plateau. Because at that point I didn't understand why 5-2 worked. And it was around that time when James started popping up on my socials, when he used to do his like Insta lives and stuff.
To 15 or 20 people or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a little bit more then. This is kind of in the days of the Brian and Shirley, the Seagulls, when he was in Sydney and stuff, and those kinds of things, and just started to watch kind of slowly. And then over Christmas, I kind of by that point I was watching them every day and was really starting to learn things like, okay, I need to start understanding my calories. I understood why 5-2 had worked and then had stopped working. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the kind of the banter, the honesty. And then, yeah, so after Christmas, I was like, right, I'm going to start using my fitness pal again. I'm not going to use the 1,200 calories, which I've used before. I went and did a if it fits your macros calorie calculation. And then I'm now on an 800 and something day streak from that day when I started. So I was still doing 5-2, because what I loved about James's approach was it didn't say stop what you're doing. It was, okay, so the reason why 5-2 works is because it's a calorie deficit. I was like, right, okay, so for me, a calorie deficit works by having 2 fast days and having a weekend with a bit more freedom. Nobody knew what I was doing either at this point. So it meant I could still go out with my friends or go out for dinner, and I didn't have to say, oh, I'm on a diet, I can't have that. And so, yeah, so I started looking at my calories.
Said to me just there, an 800-day streak of logging your calories.
Yeah, so not all in a deficit.
No,
but in terms of
on my fitness every day for 800 days.
More than that, I think it's like 870 now. Yeah, basically since that day.
That's a real message there, right? In looking at your success, because I haven't, right? And actually, if I look at, I've probably plateaued in the last 2 months. I'm fitter. I lost a lot of weight. I'm fit, but and as much as I know I need to track, I've always found that difficult because I haven't inputted them at the time of cooking, or I've had a few beers and I've thought I'm not putting them on there. So that's a real commitment. And do you think that that's a real kind of part of your success?
So for me, it's symbolic in the sense that it marks a day when I actively decided to commit to a process. But also what I found later on was that the login, having this relaxed approach to, so I log everything regardless of whether I've had 5,000-6,000 calories in a day or whether I've done a deficit, it goes in. And actually what that enabled me to do was to become a non-obsessive logger. So I find that by logging the bad, like the logging the being on holidays, the logging the off weeks and all the rest of it, I don't ever feel like I'm on a diet when I am in a deficit, because I don't associate my fitness pal with being on a diet, because I log every day. So when I'm being relaxed, so when I'm on holiday, I log at the end of the day. I just log what I've eaten rather than logging things before and thinking, oh shit, there's like 600 calories in this or whatever. I log it at the end of the day.
Without worrying
so
about it. And if it pops up that you had 5,000 calories that day, then so be it.
Sometimes I'm quite proud of it. I'm like, oh, look at this week. Like, it's, so for me, it's about, it's just a record of what I've eaten. I don't get hung up on, oh my God, it's gone in. And I think because the other advantage of doing the kind of fasting approach to a weekly calorie deficit is that the nature of having 2 days when your green bars are much lower than what they need to be is that you're going to have 2 red days.
Yeah.
So I've never got obsessed about having a perfect green week, because my calorie deficit has always been having 2 very low green days and 2 very big red days. So I've never had the kind of, oh my God, like I've got red in my MyFitnessPal freak out, because I have red in MyFitnessPal when I'm in a calorie deficit, and I always have done, because of the decision to eat less on a Monday and Tuesday and eat much more on a Saturday and Sunday.
What really worked for me was the weekly calories. It was like payday, it was like I give myself payday on a Friday, and when I'm logging, and it's like it feels like, oh yes, I've got some new expenditure, and it does change your mind when you're like, I remember like one Saturday night, and I made a decision that, so I wanted a pizza takeaway, I did a few beers, and I actually said, for the first time in my life, I'll just have a small. And there was a group of friends. I was outside, and they were like, what? They were like, get a large, it's only £2 extra. Or £4 extra, or it's 2 for 1. I was like, I just want a small one. Because actually, I'm going to eat 3 pieces of this, and it's going to be great. But otherwise, I'm just eating it with a mind, So and then I knew I've just burnt, because it was like, well, do you want to burn 1,500 calories from the rest of your week and live on nothing for the rest of the week, or do you have a small and then still have it's only burn 800 of those? You still got an extra 200 calories a day or whatever. Then that's
learning when to say no was a really important lesson. And again, that was something which was, I think, by the it's always hard at work. We have a coffee break every day at 11 o'clock, and there's always some kind of cake or biscuits. And at first it was the whole, oh, why aren't you having a piece of cake? Oh, look at you, you're always on a diet. And I was like, no, I just can't eat cake every day. Like, well, I quite often do now, but like, when you make a decision to lose weight, you have to make some sacrifices. And, it's not that much of a hardship eating cake a couple of days less a week. in terms of like what that can do, in terms of if you really do want to lose weight or lose fat, sorry, I know what I mean by weight, I mean fat. But if you know, you have to learn that you can't have it all, like because the outcome of that means you'll have more calories than what your body needs. So for me, it was like, right, well, Mondays and Tuesdays will be a bit crap. I'll just be eating like very low calorie, healthy food. I won't have any sugar or anything like that, because I know that once I have sugary treats, you know, and it would have been you know, when you only, so in the early days I would do 500 calorie days on Mondays. If you eat a 200 calorie chocolate bar, that doesn't leave you much else for the day. So I was always like, right, what can I maximize? And stuff like kale, you know, eggs, like fresh fruit and veg is the stuff you want when you want to keep your calories low. So I was like, right, well, I'll have a couple of rubbish days, Monday and Tuesday, but you know what, at the weekend, it means I can go for a toasty in the morning, I can have a piece of cake, I can have a glass of wine. And so I was like, right, and it's that kind of mentality of like, you know, and it's the same, you go to work, you have to get through the working week to have your weekend of fun. So it was just about kind of reminding myself that I was living a privileged life of having everything I wanted all the time, and actually, you know, sometimes you have to say no.
Yeah, very true. So you've joined JSA, you've working out your calories now. Did you enter a challenge straight away?
Yeah, so I joined. So I remember watching Savannah win the initial Sydney challenge and just being blown away by her transformation, but also being blown away by how people responded to her in terms of the other JSA members, and just thinking, wow, this is a community. And so James was then doing his promo for the next challenge, the Bali challenge, and I was like, right, I'm ready to trust this guy with some money, because I'd swore I'd never waste money on a fad again. And I was like, this isn't a fad. I've been doing it by myself for 6 weeks by that point, actually, following his approach, doing the weekly calories and all that, and again was starting to see progress. I was like, right, I'm ready to commit to this. So I joined, ironically, I joined the day that, so it was the 22nd of February in 2018. I took my starting photos for the first Bali challenge. That was the end date of the challenge I won 2 years later. So it felt like this kind of perfect like journey and circle, and like, right, this is my end point now. Like and just thinking about that kind of progression in terms of the different goals I'd had. And yeah, so my first challenge was all about fitting into a pair of old jeans I really wanted to get back into, and just didn't really go to. I remember like Pippa convincing me to go to the gym about 7 weeks into that challenge, when I was terrified just setting foot in the gym to do anything other than a spin class. And the first time I went, I think I went and did a spin class, and then the next time I went to the machines and I picked up some free weights and kind of but that whole time I had the JSA Facebook community being like, go on, you can do it, just, you know. And yeah, so that community was really important. Yeah, so I was in that very first challenge, which Lee Hardy won, which was amazing. I think the challenges are really important in terms of the community aspect, because it gives you a feel of belonging to something. So I was never in the challenge to win it. It didn't even cross my mind that I would be someone who would place. That wasn't even my motivation for joining it. I literally was just like, if I can stick to this for 12 weeks, that will be like the most I've ever stuck to anything in my whole life when it comes to kind of diet and fitness. And so my challenge was really to myself to do it for 12 weeks. And so I think, and James kind of, it's always been my kind of one thing about challenges is the challenge mentality they can create. And so I've always been a little bit uncomfortable, because sometimes we see people go all guns blazing, they absolutely smash it, you know, they drop their calories really low, they train much more than they would do, and of course then they get to the end of the challenge and things might fall apart, or they might really struggle, or they kind of might. And I was just like, so but for me the challenge just went alongside what I wanted to do anyway. So I didn't see it as at the end of the challenge, I can eat this, I can eat this, I can eat this. And I know some people prefer to do things like not eat carbs the day before their challenge photos each week and stuff. I was like, well, I don't care, like, you know, I'm not going to not have my breakfast, like, and take my photo. So for me, like, the challenge has always been part of what I was doing anyway. They were just a really great way to keep focused, but all to they reinforce a sense of community for me and being part of something, and the competitive element of, you know, having to complete something. So I've loved the challenges. I've done 6 out of 7 challenges in my JSA time, and the 7th one I did start, but I dropped out halfway through because I was having a really shit time, and I had a strength goal and I wasn't going to the gym, I wasn't training, and I just knew there was no point in me taking photos because my goal was a strength goal and I wasn't able to work towards it. So I decided to quit for my own mental health, and then I came back for the final challenge, which I did, and I said at the start of that challenge that this is going to be my last challenge, because it's a strength goal. So my previous 2 challenges, I had strength goals, but I'd set really, really tough goals and hadn't quite met my goals. So it was this one, I was going to set myself a tough goal, but I'm going to get it. I'm going to get my goal, and I'm going to work hard enough to get that goal. And so my final challenge was the pull-up one. And again, normally I get to about 8 weeks, and then I still keep going, but I either back off or my training slips and I'm not consistent enough with like what you need to get the progression. But this time I was like, right, no, you're not quitting at week 8 because you said this is going to be your last challenge and you're going to meet your goal. And so instead of my usual kind of just, you know, kind of flailing off, I was like, right, I'm going to use coach chat for the first time ever, and I'm going to like message trainers and be like, I'm stuck on 2 pull-ups. I don't know what to do. I talked about it openly on Instagram as well. Loads of amazing people sending me suggestions, but also just support and like, come on, you can do it, you can get there. I looked at my training program, I looked at where I could improve, I looked at where I could do more. I made sure I was doing everything I should have been doing, and then some more. I increased my calories, so I was actually in a calorie surplus because I really didn't care about what I looked like. I cared about getting those pull-ups. I knew that better fuel means better performance. And I upped instead of normally slacking off, I upped my game and I met my goal. And that's what I'm most proud of about that challenge, actually.
Yeah, and that's, I think it's, you said there about you'd put this new goal, so maybe your original goals have been around weight loss, and then you've switched those to strength goal, and then you set your goals too far out. And how often do people do that for weight loss? You know, like, you know, James would say about losing 2 pounds a week is ridiculous. As you know, that maybe you set that strength goal. I'm going to do whatever it was, 10 pull-ups or 5 pull-ups by the end of the time, and actually not understanding that progression because you've changed your goal, and how some people might have done a weight loss challenges, you know, 4 of them or whatever, 5 of them, not won a challenge because they've entered the challenge to try and win, rather than I'm going to use this to help keep me accountable, make sure I take my pictures every week. Yeah, and that's what works for me, and it sounds like it will work for you as well. But the academy can work for 2 different, 3 different, whatever your goals are. You know, I used it for strength, you know, and continue weight loss when I switched to wanting to do my life goal of doing a triathlon.
Yeah,
still fitted and it's still supported.
But that's what is amazing about it, is that the progression you can see. So for me, I back and I see how, say, my initial goal was to lose weight. Then the next thing was like, shit, I've actually managed to lose some weight here. Now I need to not put it all back on again. So the Vegas challenge, I think I'd set myself a goal to like lose 2 inches or something for the whole challenge, because that was like, right, this summer I've got the hen do, I've got the wedding, I've got all these things I look forward to. I know I'm not going to be like in any kind of like deficit or, you know, training. I'm going to be enjoying this body I've worked so hard on wanting to get.
Yeah.
And I had an absolute blast that summer, but my main goal with the Vegas challenge was to not go back to, you know, the usual cycle of like lose diet, put it back on. I was like, at the end of this challenge, I want to still be feeling as awesome as what I did at the start of it. So the Vegas challenge for me was literally just my accountability of being, you know,
yeah.
And of course I did it. Like I kept the weight off, and I was like, oh wow, like I'm not only have I lost weight, I've kept it off. And so then the Fiji challenge was the next one. I can't remember what my goal was for that one. And actually that challenge, I then surprisingly lost more weight. And I got to a point I never even thought was possible. And it's the point I'm at now. I probably lost a little bit more, I've gained a little bit back, but my whole body completely changed. And I think it was from having that I say it now to a few people when they're getting sort of towards the end of needing to lose the fat. So actually by having that break, the diet break of, you know, just eating in a maintenance or surplus and then going back to deficit, it literally just shifted things up a bit. And so I think I found in that challenge, I found my body's happy place. Because now I can be quite relaxed and I don't change very much. I've not changed dress sizes since February 2019. You know, despite having some really slack weeks, months, and then, you know, just so I think I found my happy place. And that was when I started to do the marathon training, and then kind of the next goal became about.
Hang on. So, like, we're just about to skim over doing a marathon, right? Which, I mean, I ran out of stupidity, I think. I did a half marathon, not a race, but I went and did a half marathon just a couple of weeks ago. Saw that James had done it. I thought, I've done more running than you, James. Yeah, I'm not as fit as you, but I've done more running. I can do a half marathon. My only thought, and one of my life goals, is to do an Ironman, and that's finishing with a marathon. My first thought after I did that half marathon was, how does anybody do a marathon? So really kind of maybe short and sweet. Like I know I've seen some stuff on Instagram recently. You've talked about it, because, you know, it must have been at this sort of time of year. Did that change, like, your thoughts on like running, or, you know, where did it kind of come from?
So it was completely a JSA thing. I got roped into it, as I do most things, by another JSA member saying, oh, you should run a marathon. And I was like, no, that sounds like a horrendous idea. And then next thing, there's a group of JSA people agreed to do a marathon. I think there was like 25 of us initially who were going to do it. 6 of us ended up running it. And you know what? I'm so glad I did. And I ran it with Son. We didn't plan on running it together, like from start to finish, but we basically had a 4.5 hour chat as we completed a marathon. But doing that as part of JSA was incredible, just because it's like, wow, like we've come together through this, like on a couple of the people who took part that day I'd never met until the morning of the marathon. A few JSA members came to watch us. Yeah, and it was really nice. And what running a marathon taught me was, and I really people who knew me at the time will know that I really struggled with the training. I didn't actually start training until the marathon until not that long before it. And it was the thought of it was like, I can't run a marathon, I can't do it, I can't run that distance. And then I went to see Ross Edgley do his talk, and it been last February, do his talk about swimming around the UK. And it just literally just changed everything about my mindset. And I was like, right, I need to stop thinking about 26.2 mile marathon, and then need to start thinking about it 1 mile at a time. Similar as what James says about losing weight. You know, so I'm going to run a mile, and then I'll run the next mile, and then literally just put one foot forward in front of the other. And so yeah, going to see Ross, combined with what I'd got from the JSA, already realising I'd achieved much more than I ever thought I could have, really kind of gave me a push, like, actually, do you know what, You need to stop thinking you can't do it and commit to doing it. And once you commit to doing it and remove the kind of the fear of not doing it, you can do it. And so literally the marathon was just a matter of just keep going, even when it's really tough. Just keep going, and you get to the end and you're like, shit, I did it.
There's so much stuff here, Joe, right? That's like, and I'm loving it. It's like an amazing story and an amazing journey. So you get through all of those things, you win a challenge. From being one of the most successful unsuccessful JSA members, which is a mouthful in itself. And how I remember that from how drunk we were on that night, but it's really sort of stuck. How did you feel when that morning, when you're probably getting messages left, right, and centre saying, "Oh my God, you're a winner"? Like you find out the day before from James. What was that sort of like?
No, I had no idea. So the morning I found out was also the first Monday of lockdown. So it was that weekend, when we were allowed out, but we knew, and on a Sunday night we were told, right, from tomorrow you're going to be in your houses. So it was this crazy like anxiety of like, shit, COVID is real. Like this global pandemic is happening. We are locked in our houses now until we don't know when. Right. So it was a very surreal, like it'd been like an anxious, stressful kind of weekend anyway. The weekend before I'd been in Dublin with a bunch of people I know through JSA. We had this wonderful weekend, and then I woke up in the morning, and for some reason I'd woken up really early, because normally I would wake up at 5 and go to CrossFit. So I'd woke up and then like sort of half like asleep, looked at my phone, and I had a load of messages, some of them from people who I didn't know, saying congratulations. I was like, what? So, and kind of didn't really think anything of it. And then like one of the Welshies had messaged me to say congratulations, and I was just like, what? Like, this is weird, but like kind of. And then Dave Pav was like, congratulations, and I'm just like, right, what is going on? Like, why do people keep saying congratulations to me? And then the Welshies were like, have you not been on Facebook yet? I'm like, no, it's like 5:15 a.m. Of course I haven't been on Facebook yet. They're like, well, you need to go look on Facebook. So I'm like, go and have a look. And then that was it. She's like, you're Joe 23, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, that's my JSA username. Secret Veggie, yeah? And I was like, yeah, that's me. They're like, go and look at fucking Facebook. So I then like had to look at Facebook, and I was like, I think Pav might have even sent me a screenshot as well. I can't remember. I was just having this like really bemused conversation with a couple of people at this point, and I was just like, looked at it, and I was just like, whoa, what happened here? And I literally like, I didn't know what to do. I freaked out, and I just got up and I went downstairs, and I remember this, and this is so embarrassing, I shouldn't say this, but I told like a few people I saw it, my boobs started sweating. I was freaking out. I just didn't know what to do. Like my whole body, I was literally just sweating. So I was like, right, I need to make some coffee. So I was making coffee, walking around my house going like, what the hell is happening here? Like, we're in lockdown. There's a global pandemic. I just want to trip to Bali. Like, this is nuts. And of course, like, as the rest of the world was waking up, my phone was just going, and I was like, this is so mad. It was so mental. I was just like in complete and utter, and it was just, I can't describe that feeling. I don't know, obviously I can't compare it to winning a challenge, not on the first day of lockdown of a pandemic, but winning a challenge on the first day of lockdown of a pandemic was like mind utterly blown. I literally spent the whole day being like, what? And I so I had a chat with Kay, one of the other winners, and we were just like, what? And then we were just having a laugh, and we were just like, oh my God, we need to not die of COVID. That needs to be our new goal, is to not die of COVID so we can go to Bali when this is all over. And I mean, and I think it's been weird because obviously the challenge meet and everything was all had a Zoom on, bless, which Bon organised, but everything, we haven't seen each other since, like, so finding out you've won a challenge but actually we're all stuck in our houses for who knows how long, it's been really strange. And for a little while I felt really uncomfortable talking about it because I didn't believe it was real. I messaged James, I was like, I had to check like 5 times, and I was just like when I messaged him to say thank you, I was like waiting for him to be like, oh, it wasn't you, it was someone else. Yeah, it was just, it's surreal, and it remains surreal, and I think I've got a bit better at talking about it now, but for a long time I didn't want to mention it because first of all I was like, oh god, I don't want to be like, oh, I've won this holiday when everyone's having this really shit time like in COVID, and then just also like I keep forgetting about it, and it just feels really weird and surreal. So yeah, who knows when we'll go or whatever, but I'm amazingly over the moon. It felt crazy.
If James was like, I'm really sorry guys, but we've got to do it over Zoom.
It's not happening. Even if we go in 2031, I am going to Bali with James for my winning holiday, and with Andrea, Esther and Kay. We are having that holiday no matter how many years we wait for it.
I'm sure it'll be amazing, and you should be really proud of achieving that. I know you get a bit what's probably the word, blushy, if that's a word, when I'm like, I call you a celebrity of the JSAM.
So weird.
To me you are, and I'm sure to so many other people you are, that person. You've done it through hard work, through discipline. You've challenged some other fears during that time, going on camera on Instagram. I think you mentioned that to me before.
Yeah, my Instagram was never an accountability Instagram. It was because I hated having my photo taken.
And now, we can't get away from you.
Now you're sick of the sight of me, but I also, that's the other thing, I no longer care what other people say and think. That's the other issue. I think that's one other thing I would say actually, is like, I think people sometimes put all the emphasis on the physical changes and forget that actually you have to work really hard on the mindset changes as well. And I mean that in a much broader way than just focusing on calories and steps and stuff. But actually I spent a lot of time listening to James's podcast, but also to people like Jamie Alderton's Mindset with Muscle, reading Ross Edgley's book, and just I worked quite hard on changing the way I think about things as well, and trying to be a bit more holistic. So it's not just about being, having a body you want, but actually it's about having a body which is going to serve me well now, but also when I'm older. So more recently I've shifted from being, I don't really care about like protein and stuff, in that, as long as I hit my protein goal, everything else is okay. I'm like, well, actually protein's important, but so is my fibre, so is my micronutrients, and I've got the luxury now that calories aren't my focus. I'm now interested in, okay, actually how can I improve my general health, particularly for when I'm old and I can't do CrossFit anymore, and what can I do now to prevent unnecessary health problems in my future. So what will future Joe thank me for now?
So it's almost like you've leveled up now. Yeah, you sounds like you're maybe on level 1 was about weight loss, level 2 is a bit more about strength, level 3 is more about nutrition, and you kind of I
think that's the way to think about it as well. Like, people think you have to do it all at once. I never did it all at once. Like, I'm proud of my journey being slow and steady, because I feel like I've never slipped back in it, because it's always been, right, the very first thing I want to do is this. All I'm going to worry about is calories.
Yeah.
Didn't give a shit about proteins until about 2 weeks ago. And the next thing was like, okay, now I'm going to focus on this. Now I've got this under my belt. Now it's about this. And so I think that just that very small building blocks is, for me, was really important for sustainability, because I was never going all guns blazing at once and doing something which wasn't going to work you know, so now steps and even actually training now is just part and parcel. Like but that never used to be the case. In my early challenges, I wasn't working out consistently or even at all at some points. So I think to kind of don't feel like you have to do everything all at once is probably a long time ago. I remember doing a post about like baby steps, and I absolutely stand by that. Like when I'm talking about, or, you know, I'm making sure I'm getting enough vitamin C, ED, I would not be saying that to somebody who's just at the start of their fat loss journey. I'm 2.5 years into mine, and that's not, you know,
which is a massive progression, and we've seen that from, you know, other people that have gone from JSA members into coaches. You know, you do get further down your journey, and you know, I often get asked like, oh my god, how much weight have you lost in the last year? You know, and I'm like, ask me how much weight I've lost in the last 10 years, because it's taken me 10 years, and yours, like that same journey, it's been a lot longer, because I had to get to the place where I was like, fuck this. You know, you've got you're at your most dangerous when you put your back against the wall, and you've got to get to that place. Yeah, and I think the JSA allows you to go from that place, or maybe at a different place. I
think that's what's great about JSA though, is it basically it educates you, so it removes all the like spoken mirrors and everything, but it actually allows you to figure out your path. So it gives you all the tools, but essentially you decide what you want your journey to look like. And for some people, it might be doing it all at once and going, right, bam, I'm throwing myself into this. But that doesn't work for me.
No.
But that's what I love about JSA. And also James and the coaches really preach this whole, like, if you hate going to the gym, don't go to the gym. Yeah. Do something you enjoy. If you hate the idea of having fixed calories every day, eat less on a Monday and eat more on a Saturday. And that's what I love about it, is it enables anybody who wants to be successful in JSA can be successful. But I think where people go wrong is where they try and either imitate someone else's success or someone else's, you know, kind of pathway, or they don't really spend the time getting to grips with the kind of the basics and the fundamentals and what works for them. That's it. So I think, again, I blogged about this the other day actually, about kind of the importance of not just learning things, but actually taking the kind of the critical reflection on yourself and your own journey, so you can reflect, review, adapt, decide what's working, what isn't working, and so kind of becoming your own critical reflector rather than relying on somebody else to tell you what you're doing right and wrong. Get to the point where you can, obviously a coach will help you with that, but actually starting to think through those things yourself so you can, you know, make your own decisions and make your own journey.
You've when you write a lot of posts and you've put you do that in your post, and I actually think a lot of people do. They've answered their own reason of, like, you know, when people put up, I'm not sure if there's any changes, and then they write, I was over my cows, I didn't do this, but they've answered their own question in just by posting. Yeah. So, what was it like putting your first half naked pictures on the internet?
It was horrific. I remember it because I hadn't really shared any, like, I was never someone who was sharing regular, because I wasn't doing it for accountability. So I was not someone who was benefiting from kind of sharing them each week as like an accountability thing. So I'd kind of just been getting along with it quietly. I wasn't really a big Instagram user at this point. I remember sharing, still kind of I'd gone to a conference and I was flying straight to Ibiza from Birmingham where I'd gone for the conference. So I'd been out on this like massive binging night with colleagues and stuff. And the next day, I was going from my hotel, I was going straight to the airport to go, and I was meeting all the girls. They were all flying out together, but I was meeting them all in Ibiza. And So I had like my Ibiza clothes with me because I was going straight there, and I needed to do like my final kind of photos. And I was like, right, I'm going to do my first like proper transformation photo because I feel incredible. And I'd not seen anyone for a long time, and all my work colleagues who I hadn't seen for like a year, they were like, fuck, like what has happened to you? Like you look amazing. Like, and I felt incredible. Like I really, really did. And it's the first time in my whole life, regardless of what size I've been, it was the first time in my whole life I'd felt incredible.
Those compliments are
yeah, it was the compliments, but also it was like I knew I really deserved it because I knew I'd really worked hard and I'd really committed to it. And obviously I had all like everyone behind me being lovely. And anyway, so I tried this bikini on I bought for Ibiza, and I put the red bikini, and I took a photo in this hotel room in the mirror and posted this transformation photo for like my original October ones pre-JSA, but when I started to kind of, right, I'm going to do this, my JSA starting photo and this red bikini, and oh my god, my phone blew off. So I then like I posted it, and I've had that horrible like, oh my god, I feel like horrendous, it's on the internet kind of thing.
My family to see me doing this, what if my friends judge me?
Yeah, just like the sheer terror of like sharing a photo of myself in like a bikini, but also sharing that starting photo as well, which utterly made me feel awful. And I got to the airport, and I remember being sat at the airport, and I was like, oh, I'll get a drink and I'll check my phone. Checked my phone had gone nuts. Like, so James had like seen the photo. My photo is on James's Instagram story. I'm like, oh my god, like this is mental. I had like something like 500 likes on the Facebook group, and like it was nuts. And I was just like, and everyone was just saying like just really lovely things, and it was like, it felt like a real moment to me because I'd worked, the whole thing had been about going on that holiday not feeling shit about myself, and it was more that going to Ibiza like so full of confidence, feeling just so good. And I remember being there and like just not caring and like not worrying about if I looked a bit like fat at the pool, and I just didn't care about like my body. Like I'm just, yeah, it was incredible. And yeah, so that will always stick with me, that moment, because I was like, I've done what I wanted to do, but I've done it in like the best way possible. But more than that, I'm happy with myself now. And that was what, 34 or 35, and I'd never felt like that in my whole life before. Even when I'd been smaller, I'd never felt amazing like that. And I literally just remember saying to James, I was like, I can't ever thank you enough for like the transformation. For me was not physical, it was like all in my mind. It was all to do with the way I felt about myself. And that was James, but also from the JSA community as well. I never would have made that mental transformation about how I felt about myself if it wasn't for the people like supporting me and making me challenge my negative thoughts and feelings. People like Pippa, you know, were absolutely fundamental, like people in ways they'll never understand, like impact on that. And so again, that's the importance of the JSA community as much as the information you learn.
Absolutely. I think that, so you did IFS, you've been really ingrained in the whole community.
Yeah, just being myself in, try and go to as much as I can, just get involved. I just love it. I love the people I've met through it.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's an amazing,
just incredible. I've never had a bad time. I've woke up with some horrendous hangovers and some dreadful kind of beer fear like the next day. That's pretty standard of a JSA mate, is waking up the next day thinking, oh my god, what did I do, what did I say, who did I offend, who was I rude to, because I'm a very bad drunk. And I, you know, well, exactly. You know, they're very, very messy events, and I drink as if I'm, you know, a 7-foot guy, and I'm not a 7-foot guy. And the downside of weight loss is you lose any kind of alcohol stamina whatsoever. But I've had like literally an incredible run of it, right from that very first JSA live in Cardiff, like in May 2018 and just kind of just try to get involved with it as much as possible, and we'll always try and remain involved or certainly supportive at one level. Like I went to IFS primarily because I wanted to support James. He asked for support from JSA members to go, had no idea what it was. I didn't really think it would be something I would get much from. Had the most amazing time. Just feel a real loyalty to the JSA and also to James.
I think that's a very admirable quality in people, is loyalty, and I think that definitely rings throughout the community. There's some very loyal people, and people that will, different people will call different people friends for life, even though sometimes I've met them once or twice. So you're waiting to go to Bali. You're dealing with COVID. Everybody would probably say that you're smashing it. You might say that's only one side of it. We're all kind of learning, but where are you now? Kind of this CrossFit thing, yoga, which I can't even touch my knees, I don't think, never mind my toes. And you see some of those positions, you're getting into your pretzel position, which
but remember, I couldn't touch my knees when I started 3 years ago, so hard work pays off.
Certainly does. You're still this academy, you're academic. Big goals for that. You're going to become a international lecturer now that you've got your celebrity status.
Well, I've already written a book. I beat James to writing and publishing a book. Unfortunately, I've sold about 5, so I've not made the living from it, which a diet book can, but or not a diet book. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with everything. Lockdown has actually been good for me. I don't mean to sound smug by saying that. I certainly didn't find it helpful at the start, but actually, for me personally, I just needed a little bit of time out of adult life. I needed a social life to be cancelled, and actually to give me a bit of time to spend at home, not spend any money, kind of spend a bit of time reevaluating and reprioritising career stuff, personal stuff, like the blog and everything all came out of lockdown. And so obviously I don't want it to last too long, but at the moment I basically decided I could either get drunk every night and moan about it and feel like shit, or I could just try and make the best of it. And don't get me wrong, I still have tough days. I really miss seeing people. I have that kind of general anxiety about my family and friends and people getting sick and kind of seeing the devastation of it all. But I try and bring it back to me and my little bubble and what I can. And this is why Paul Mort's really great as well, in terms of focusing on what you can control, focus on what you can do and what you can achieve. Look at what your things are, and so I've kind of just tried to embrace the time and space from normal, frantic, crazy life. So when I go back into normal, crazy, frantic life, I've had a bit of time out.
I think it's going to be tough for everybody suddenly to go back to, I've got to be out here, I've got to do that, I don't even know how to drive my car anymore, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think my front tire's flat on my car. I assume the nature of, we're not just going to be going back to old normal. If we ever get back to old normal, things are going to happen in a bit more of a staggered way, which I think is good for everyone, because I know I'm anxious about going outside. I've never been anxious around people before. That everyone is getting issues in different ways and stuff, so there's going to be a big period of readjustment for everyone. But I think we just have to worry about that when that happens, and just I'm trying not to worry or preempt about anything and just deal with stuff as and when it's happening.
And do you know what? I think staying away from the news and the negativity and everything, but and I only just thought of this, actually the one place I've not seen anything negative about COVID is in the JSA. I've seen so little on it.
Well, that's because GMAC is so strict as an admin. But, you know, there's a reason, and that's partly again why I love the JSA and why the admin of that group in particular do such a fab job, is because it's supposed to be a positive, supportive environment. We all get COVID shoved at us in every direction. We're all stressed about it, and you know, yes, it might be impacting on people's fitness, whatever journeys. However, sometimes you just need to create a bit of a safe space where everything isn't negative all the time. So I'm really pleased the admin team made the decision they did in terms of trying to protect that, you know, really, really valuable bubble, so that we have somewhere where we can just have a bit of light relief or focus on, you know, those people. For me, you know, I've just carried on with training, and actually that's part of what's keeping me sane, is the fact that, you know, I have CrossFit and that and yoga in my living room, and that's giving me something to focus on. But I understand equally why people might be struggling with that. But just the JSA has more. It's not just about, oh, look at me, I'm doing a workout. There's so much more to the community than that. So I think just having that kind of that space is important.
And I think that's right. It is a safe place. You know, and that's why people feel that they can put up their half-naked pictures. That's why they feel that they can talk through not knowing how to do something, or, you know, having a bad day, or, you know, it is a safe place to, and if we didn't have that, it might have been a bit of a different story. You know, meeting everybody, and again, you know, it just goes back to things. You know, we did an online hero award one day.
You did, yes. Yeah.
And it broke me. So like 1.5 more levels than me. I was just like, oh, in my front garden in the sun, didn't choose a spot, and you know, but it's, you know, these things that keep us going. What would be, you know, kind of just to wrap it up, what's your advice to, you know, kind of 2 or 3 kind of mantras or quotes for people to kind of start the journey or keep going on their journey?
Okay, so first of all, and I'm going to read this quote so I get it right. There are many things in life we can outsource, but your health should not be one of them. Own your food and fitness with conviction. So that's from Ross Edgley. So basically, my summary of that is own your shit. Take responsibility for yourself.
Yeah.
My other one is from James Clear. So from the book Atomic Habits. Success is the product of daily habits and not once in a lifetime transformations. What would my other one be? Probably something I wrote down myself, actually. So I keep looking at my vision board, and it's been in my kitchen since I made it for the Fiji challenge, and it's where I've collected kind of quotes and things, and you know, inspirational kind of, or things which have struck me. So I suppose actually the other one, actually no, I'm going to go for James's. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, because I think as soon as you push yourself outside of your comfort zone, you're then more willing to try all the other things that will help things fall into place. So yeah, that's it. That's my 3 things.
This is your first podcast. It's my first podcast. Do you listen to audiobooks or any other podcasts? You got any recommendations?
I don't listen to audiobooks, but I do enjoy podcasts. I'm not really a podcast person when it comes to entertainment. I often, so running is one of the times I listen to podcasts, and when I was doing my marathon training, podcasts were what got me through. So obviously James's podcast, I love that. And actually I found myself, even from ones like the cookie one and stuff, like the ones which you think, oh, I know all this, actually I still learn something from all of them. Or just reminds me of something, or it made me, the one about us made me really question my kind of you know, the kind of the what is it I want to gain from this, and kind of thinking about goals and stuff. Jamie Alderton's Mindset with Muscle was an absolute game changer for me in terms of it sounds like it's going to be like really boring and about like gym and stuff, but actually it's much more about like business and mentality and mindset and about how you can approach problems. And I just found it translated really well to many areas of my life and just made so much sense.
Very transferable.
And also the other one I have loved is, oh no, two more. So Chloe Madeley's, I've really enjoyed that. Used to listen to that when I was running. And The Food Medic is another one. So that's all about, so she is a GP who's studying nutrition. She's also on Instagram. Her podcast, she interviews people, but she's covered a whole range of stuff, like say sleep, skin, food, training. I just find it really interesting, and I've just learned a lot, you know, kind of from the kind of nutrition side of it from that. So yeah, I suppose they're the, I'm sure there's plenty of other good ones, but they're the ones which I've really kind of have been important for me in my journey.
Well, I've, you know, some of those are definitely I will check out. So, you know, again, podcasts, when I'm walking or when I'm running, there's or when I'm in the car, you know, even though I've got a love for music, in those places I find, you know, Audible or, you know, especially with running, because when I started running, I remember chatting to a guy who was been running on the treadmill next to me for like, you know, an hour or whatever, and I said to him, I said, how do you just go for that long on a treadmill? You know, and I said, I always find myself speeding up, slowing down, speeding up, slowing down. And he said to me, he said, I bet you listen to music. And I was like, yeah. And he said, and that's why you speed up and slow down, especially if the music changes. Spoken word was, he said talk radio was back in the day when podcasts and audible books weren't around. He said, but they keep your rhythm and they keep your focus, they can take your attention.
Exactly, distract you. Before you know it, you can run 10 miles. Just been listening to stuff.
That's right. So being able to read a book in a day, you know, your photographic memory and, you know, genius brain, which, you know, when you said that to me, it just reminded me of, you know, with Suits, and anybody who watches Suits, as well as, you know, Mike has got this photographic memory, he can just pick up stuff. You know, I don't admire that. It takes me about a week to read a page, but I do try. But have you got any kind of must reads or anything you've read recently?
I mostly read crime fiction as like my just kind of depression, like not depression as in like mental health, but as in kind of depressing from life day at the end of the day. But my reading Ross Edgley's The World's Fittest Book changed my world. It blew my mind. I read it at the time when I needed to. So that shift from fat loss to maintenance, and where do you go after losing weight when you've spent your whole life trying to lose weight, is a really, really hard place to be in. You find yourself in this kind of uncharted territory without much guidance actually about how you manage that. It's one thing the diet industry doesn't do very well, is kind of, well, what happens when you don't need to diet anymore? But reading Ross's,
but you know, that's difficult mindset wise, I guess.
Yeah, because actually you need to stop thinking about your body. You need to start thinking about what your body can do rather than what your body looks like. And so Ross's book was fundamental for me for that. And that was where the quote, my body is an instrument and not an ornament, really struck me. Because I'm like, shit, actually, I want to see what I can do rather than really care about what I look like. And obviously the more you're trying to perform and do something, naturally your body stays in a way you're happy with what it looks like, because you're active, you're doing this, you're training for this, you're pushing yourself, and so therefore your body just kind of, you know, works in the way you need it to. So it kind of all comes together.
So yeah, crime fiction. So they're some of the books that I can actually read because I get develop an interest. So Michael Connolly is probably one of my favourite.
I don't know very many authors. I really like the ones about Inspector Ryan. I can't remember who the author is. I just read or got Kindle and just kind of. I like to read. Lockdown has been all about series for me, so I've started everything from the start and like reading or watching things really. Just something which I don't want to think too hard. I've started on an evening switching off from social media and telly and stuff and Zoom calls and all the rest of it, and just have a shower. I quite often do a bit of yin yoga, have a shower, put my jammies on, and go to bed quite early and just read a book in bed, just to kind of switch off from the world and have a better quality sleep. Actually, talking of sleep, Matthew Walker's Why We Sleep is an incredible book.
It is, and if you've you know, I said to you the other day actually about his podcast on Joe Rogan, understanding sleep, despite the fact that I'm currently having bugger all because I've set this stupid goal getting up at 4 a.m, is fundamental to being able to go again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, where a lot of people fail, and I do.
Knowing when to not get up to train and to have an extra hour in bed is really important. And I'm a big believer of, if you're shattered and you're dragging yourself out of bed to the gym and you feel exhausted and crap, you're not doing yourself any favors. Like, have your sleep instead.
So, and there's your first, I think. So that's not. It's probably many. You were going to count how many I did, but I said to you when we were talking about, you know, how I was going to do it. I said I didn't want it to be long form.
No, I was just thinking there, you've done a very good job of a long form podcast for your short podcast.
But I think it's you know, it's an amazing story to tell. I really hope our listeners get this far, even if they pause and come back to it.
I should create an executive summary.
Yeah, I think we need an Insta post and everything sometimes just to break it down. I don't know what my editing skills are like. This might have come out in 2 parts. I'll have a go. Try not to delete the file and you know, have to drag Jo back into her home studio in her kitchen.
Very nice, obviously.
The scene of the veggie dance. Yes. Jo, how can people, you know, stay in touch with you? How can they follow your next part of your journey? And
so Instagram, joe.23.secretveggie. Now it is at the moment a private account. So if you request to follow me and I don't follow you back, it's because you're not obviously a JSAM member, or I might think you're one of my students, or someone who I don't know. So if I don't accept your request, just DM me, just say hi, and I'll accept you. It's not a personal thing. And the other, I waffle daily on secretveggie.waffles.wordpress.com, which is basically just so I babble a little bit less on Instagram now and use the longer form of a blog to just, and it's about everything. Sometimes it comes back to fitness and fat loss, other times it's just a rant about something, but it's kind of the way I like to chew something over and then waffle about it.
And they're a good daily read. You know, if you go and sign up to those with Jo, I'd say just click on get the email. If you've enjoyed like James's daily emails, I kind of see it as a bit like that from Jo. I've really enjoyed some of them, and sometimes it's felt like I've written them at that time. Other times it's just interesting to, you know, see that waffle and you know, kind of know that there's lots going on inside Jo's head. But you know, when she launched that, I was like super happy. It happened to be when I had thought of doing this podcast, and it fitted, you know, so. Yeah, she might have only jumped on the podcast for a bit of self-promotion to get her blog viewership up.
Well, as a celebrity veggie, you know.
The celebrity veggie. It's been a true pleasure to have you on the podcast, and you know, we're friends, so I'm sure we'll stay in touch. you know, if you stop replying to my messages now that you've had your podcast out of me, then you know, ditch me at the side of the road. The working with you on this has been a true pleasure, and watching your journey is an even bigger pleasure. And I hope you enjoy Bali.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
No, you're very welcome, and you were definitely my first choice for a reason.
Oh, thank you.
So, yeah.
I'll buy you a gin soon.
That's cool. Well, thank you very much, everybody. And if you want to, hear more, please, send me some recommendations. And if you want onto the podcast, you think you've got a story to tell, and I'm sure there's loads of stories out there. Please just, drop me a DM, and we'll be in touch. And I look forward to speaking to you all soon. Thank you very much.